everyone. This is Felicia Bender, the Practical Numerologist. I find that love and relationships is one of the key topics people want to know more about. This is numerologically speaking, or in any other way, right? So I'm always asked why a relationship didn't work out, or how to attract that perfect partner. And mostly I'm asked, believe it or not, let's see if you've asked yourself this question. So what is my problem here? What am I doing wrong? Or what am I missing in my relationship dynamics? Understand that we all have unique issues, of course, that influence the way that we individually engage with and approach relationships, whether those are relationships with our family, our friends, colleagues, or lovers. Yet knowing some of the innate challenges that we might experience, and I highlight the word might, is always really beneficial and offers some potential insight and areas of illumination that can be very useful in defining and understanding how you might present yourself in relationship and in your relationship life, and what some of those, those shadows, those little gremlins might be that sneak up and sabotage us. You might look at both of your life path number and also your expression, or also called the destiny number. This can be compared in some ways to the rising sign and astrology. So if you watch astrology videos, often you'll be asked to watch for your sun, moon, and rising. So it's somewhat similar here with your full numerology profile. So if you know both of those, I suggest watching the videos for both the life path and the expression, or the destiny. And ultimately, to put a little bit more of a layer here, just to share with you, when I look at relationship compatibility numerologically, I also focus on the soul urge number. This is also called the heart's desire. This points to what you want and need to feel satisfied on a soul level. And I find it reveals to you what you truly value, what you want and need in love and relationship. So if you don't know these numbers, please don't panic, no worries. The information here is focusing on the life path number, that's the key. And yet, if you are numerology curious, you want to know more, visit FeliciaBender.com. You can explore more about the other key numbers in your numerology chart. And since we are examining how you might push love away, remember that's the title here. So how you might push love away, that's the topic. So please, I beg of you, don't take these observations personally. We all have issues. It just depends on how they show up for each of us. And we're trying to refine and define that as a point of information. So instead, position yourself to look through a viewfinder of curiosity rather than judgment or criticism. This is designed to be informative and supportive, not critical or judgmental. All right, so here, with all that said, let's dive into it. Here are a few reasons or a few examples of how you might, again, emphasis on might, how you might push love away as a 9-life path. So the 9-life path is full of compassion. You are brimming with love. Often you are energy personified. So your highest and best is in giving back to the world with your gifts and talents. These are wide-ranging. You're multi-gifted, multi-talented, right? You're here also to really practice detachment from old family wounds, from kind of extracting yourself from these enmeshed dynamics sometimes, not always, but I find that quite a bit with the 9. You're really working with developing empathetic listening and being open to new experience every day and letting go. Just letting go. You are you're the ultimate what? You're the ultimate Buddha, or the baby Yoda, whatever you want to call it, when you're learning how to let go and be in the moment. So your life's purpose is to live with integrity, to align your life's purpose with your heart's intuitive wisdom, and to serve with humility, and altruism in whatever you do. You are the compassionate humanitarian, and whatever your life is really meant to be this expansive, creative, and spiritually spiritually challenging in many ways, and yet also spiritually giving, if that makes sense. So the number 9 is the number of endings in numerology. It's the number of surrender, of letting go, and is often called the number of limited rewards, which to me only means that if money, power, anything of that nature is the goal, it will boomerang right back at you. And yet, if the goal is to serve, if it is speaking to your heart, everything will follow. Okay, just want to be really clear about that aspect of the 9. So yours is a path of charisma, of creativity, and of compassionate service. So how does this show up in love and in relationships? So when it comes to love, you are often quite the hopeless romantic. You have high ideals about love and about how intimacy should play out in your world. So most often the 9 life path is the ultimate giver, and yet you're learning how to give and to receive without conditions and without control. So there can be some mud wrestling there. So you are highly emotional, and yet you can have trouble navigating your own emotions and the emotions of others. Sometimes they're very uncomfortable for the 9, so you'd rather detour all the way around them. So you're learning to extract yourself from codependent relationships across the board, from family of origin to your intimate partner, to have more of a give and take, more of an ebb and flow. Sounds easy enough, but it's not when oftentimes you find your space and your place is as the giver. Plain and simple. So some 9s can be emotional hoarders, and sometimes physical hoarders, right? Because the 9 is about letting go. Sometimes you can work with the opposite, which is hanging on to the past as if you were grasping in a lifeboat while drowning, right? And so you're certainly at your best when you are moving with the flow. One can say that about everything, but particularly the 9, when you're moving with the flow rather than kind of hanging on and ensconced in these old stories about the past, or replaying old experiences that are often hurtful, right? So one of the ways that you can push love away is when you default into doing things your way, my way or the highway, right? Without taking your partner's desires into consideration. So the irony here is that you're often overdoing in your relationships, and yet it can be more in line with control and a lack of interest in listening and hearing others and allowing them to, again, create a dynamic relationship with you rather than participating in your world in the way you want them to participate in it. So you can be kind of this ultimate enabler, doing for others until you realize that you've just created these really codependent monsters in your life. So that can come back at you. That is a way that love or relationships might dissolve or be unhealthy. So you must let your guard down and ask for what you need, because your needs are not easily read by others. You have to ask for help and support. Everyone often thinks you are just an island all on your own, that you don't, you never ask for help, so certainly you don't need it. And yet that's not true. So you're the type of person who can literally be drowning in quicksand and yet, when there's a person passing by who notices and says, hey, you need some help, you're the first one to wave them off and assert that everything's fine. So you've got to really learn how to be a bit more vulnerable here. This is a hard one. You learning to allow yourself that ultimate sense of vulnerability. So in relationship, you want to please, you would also love to be adored by your partner, and yet often love is only acceptable to you on your own terms and on your terms only. So you're working at engaging with the person and all of the foibles that go with that. So the overarching reason why you might push love away is unrealistic romanticism in some ways, mixed with enabling. So you also might, at this point, step back and think of it this way. So all of the ways that have been suggested right here that you might push love away, you can also see how maybe you have actually been on the receiving end of the relationships that you have struggled with, that you have been on the receiving end of these same issues, okay? Because we often call in what we need to learn. So isn't that the cruel joke of it all? So it's kind of like Willy Wonka and Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, my favorite movie of all times, when he's going along, and then he's like, oh, stop, reverse that, and then move forward. So if we do that, if we turn the tables here, think about how love might be pushed away by you attracting people who are arrogant and self-serving, maybe who are codependent, or who are master enablers, and that disintegrates the relationship, or who have difficulty with emotional connection. Those could be the kind of relationships that you perhaps have drawn in. Your gold star, you are at your highest and best when you allow yourself to ask for support, while also giving the same to others on that equal footing. Relationships thrive when you embrace the ebb and flow of life with open arms.
Hurry, please. We have so much time and so little to see. Wait a minute. Strike that. Reverse it.